Boys and Girls Club members, Miss Anita here, and thank you for joining me on this week's video of Cultural Awareness. Make sure that you're keeping up with all of our E-Club activities and you're not missing out on all the fun. This week's video is celebrating women's rights. We'll be talking about some of the major events that has led up to the historical moment of inaugurating our first female vice president. So let's get started. So today, as we know it, women have the same voting rights as men do. But that wasn't always the case. Let's take it back. 1820s through the 1830s. In the early 1800s, the right to vote was only granted to all the white men, regardless of how much property or how much income they were making. So what's a right? What's the right to vote? A right to vote is something to which a person has a just claim to. Just. What is just? Just has a just claim to. Just comes from the word justice. Justice means a concept or idea that means that people behave in a way that is fair, equal, and balanced for everyone. So that's really important to understand. And so the idea is that, again, we're always going to come back to this concept of everyone has to be equal, everyone has to have the same rights, everyone has to have the same freedom, and should have the same opportunity to succeed. In 1848, a group of activists in Seneca Falls, New York, got together to discuss the problem of women's rights. So all these people got together. They got together in New York and they said, hey, something's going on here. How come women don't have the same rights? And so I used the word activist. What does the word activist mean? An activist is a person who is not willing to let a situation go unnoticed. They raise awareness amongst others and to bring about social change. So it's important to understand that you had a large amount of people now that were starting to become aware of what they can and cannot do, and they were starting to take a voice of their own. So during the 1850s, the women's rights movement gained real steam. And so now there's this movement, there's this group of people who are pushing forward, fighting for rights for all citizens, not just men. Unfortunately, the American Civil War comes in. The American Civil War comes in and brings on the 14th and the 15th Amendments. Let's talk a little bit about that because I just threw in some really serious words. So what is the Civil War? The American Civil War was a war in the United States between the northern and southern states, taking place between 1861 and 1865. It's important that you understand that this war brought on amendments. The 14th and the 15th Amendments are change or additions to a law. The 14th and the 15th Amendment spoke of protecting the rights of citizens and giving African American men the right to vote. Again, amendments are change in laws, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to include everyone. So the women's rights movement saw this as an opportunity to leap forward and jump on this train of amendments, which is basically changing the laws little by little. In 1869, the National Women's Suffrage Association is founded. The women's suffrage movement is a fight for the right of women by law to vote in national and local elections.